Hello everyone, Douglas Macbeth here. This is my first week's review of the MOOC so far. First of all, thank you very much for taking part, and for those of you who are making comments, thank you for those efforts. It's one of the important features of a course like this to learn from each other, as well as the various presentations that we and our colleagues put forward for you. So getting a view from around the world, as it's a very international course, is an added value feature of this kind of event. So thanks to those of you who are taking the opportunity and sharing that. I have to say I've noticed something in this running of the course that I hadn't appreciated before, whether it happened and I missed it or not. But it seems that the FutureLearn are now listing comments from previous runs of the course, which is good in the sense that you get a chance to learn from even more people. But sometimes the comments are specific to particular events, particularly the webinars. So occasionally some of the comments seem to be a wee bit strange. So if this is a true understanding from my part, I just ask you to bear with us and take what you can out of the opportunities that are presented by listening to other people from other courses. That having been said, the webinars are an important and unique feature of this MOOC. Very few courses would have speakers of the quality that WCC can bring to bear on subjects. They are the true experts. So I would, if you haven't managed to access the first week webinar, I would encourage you to try and do that. They are usually good value. What I'm going to do now is highlight a few things that I took out of the webinar. One of the explanation, and then some general observations about key points as I heard them. The webinar was about what makes good negotiators. And why is that important? Because everyone negotiates. We do it in our personal lives, our day-to-day situation. We negotiate for new jobs, rises, new positions. We negotiate with life partners about where we're going to spend time and do things. So everyone negotiates, and maybe don't see it as that, but understanding the processes and what's going on can help us hopefully be better at doing it. Of course, negotiations are fundamental to the business world. In contracts and in contract management, then there's always a major negotiation at the beginning of any of those situations. But there's some of the messages that come out of the course that I'd like to highlight is that in any negotiation, the almost fail-safe solution is to say no. It exposes you to less risk sometimes. So no can be an easy option, and you just don't move. But essentially what our experienced negotiators were talking about is that this is not the best way to approach the situation. Essentially the argument was you need to build trust in each of the parties to the contract so that they can get to a position where they say yes. We have agreed that this is what we both parties want. And so there's an element of art in this, as there is in any interpersonal relationship, art and experience, I guess. There's also an element of science, or at least a scientific focus on process. We need to understand what the constants in the negotiation are, what variables might be, and above all, be consistent. If you want to build trust, you can't vary your approach all the time. And there were some interesting suggestions about becoming vulnerable, having humility, so that not being aggressive and being positional, as they mentioned that. Maybe that's a word that isn't used so often. Positional, it emphasises that I am going to take a position and I will not budge from that position. This does not allow for negotiations to be very creative. It will get you to no very quickly, but it won't get you to yes very quickly. So be consistent, focus on the outcomes, but also be vulnerable, have humility, and above all, this was emphasised repeatedly, have curiosity. Find out why things are they are. If someone is being difficult about a particular point, ask them, what's the problem? What can we do to make this better? So we want to have collaborative negotiators, not positional ones who are so fixed, so rigid. But that's easier when you're face to face. If you're trying to do it by video conferencing or whatever, it does become harder because you don't get the same interpersonal cues that you would have interacting with people and shaking hands and whatever. So we really want collaborative negotiators, but you also need to be aware of who you're negotiating for. Is it your own personal success criteria, whatever that might be, or are you looking for performance metrics for your organisation? Other things that cropped up that was important: domain experience. It's always going to be important, whatever job you're doing. If it's different experience over many years, then that's great. Same experience repeated isn't so good. But having domain experience allows you to negotiate, to talk sensibly about options and possibilities with the other party. You need emotional intelligence. Normal intelligence isn't important, but emotional intelligence, because of the interpersonal nature of the process, is important. And above all, teams. The biggest contracts need big teams, often subdivided into different task groups. But you all need to understand what the big picture is and how each person plays their part. So the negotiation should be more like a conversation. What can we work out together to create and share value? Okay, so in this, the big picture and avoiding the rigid position becomes important. There was some discussion about AI. Everybody's talking about artificial intelligence everywhere these days. But their key point seemed to be that certainly at current stages of development, AI can be an assistant, it can't be a replacement. That's quite good news for us in the profession, I guess. But to use AI as a learning tool might create some of that domain expertise that we need. So this seemed to be something that they've been working on quite extensively. So some key points. You really need to figure out from the beginning, how are we going to get this deal done? So what processes are we going to use? How are we going to meet? How do we make decisions? Who else needs to be involved in these decisions? Defining the process up front so there's no unpleasant surprises on the way through. It's always useful to find out something about the counterparty, something about their personal interests and activities, what motivates them, who else is important in the organisation. Don't aim for conflict immediately. There are occasions when you have to be a little bit tough. So there's an element of conflict. And in any negotiation there's some degree of conflict, but it shouldn't be your sole position. You should be looking for a way to get the deal done that works for both sides. So in the end, the measurement should be were the outcomes achieved. And one of the key messages that came across in the webinar is, let's make it fun. It's an important part of business, but it doesn't have to be so serious that you can't even have a joke about some things. So find a way to make the process fun for both sides, good for both sides, with the outcomes that are acceptable, hopefully welcome to both sides. So I found the conversation really inspiring, really useful people to listen to and learn from. So I hope you did too. So looking forward to next week, some more interesting activities and presentations. So I hope you will enjoy the week to come. And remember, if you've got some colleagues who thought about joining the course, there's still time. And if you're enjoying it, perhaps you can sell it to them and maybe do a little bit of negotiation as well. Anyway, thanks again. Talk to you again at the end of week 2. Bye for now.